Welcome to Catholic News World.
Welcome to Catholic News World. Please subscribe to our channel. My name is Steph. Here are this week's breaking news headlines.
A Catholic missionary priest was kidnapped in Haiti. Agenzia Fides reports that Father Jean-Yves Mediteur, priest of the Clerics of Street Ouiator, a collaborator in the Christ Roi La Meilleure parish of Port-au-Prince, was kidnapped in Croix des Bouquets. The news was released by the information site Mono Actualité. According to what has emerged, the kidnapping took place on Friday, March 10, while the missionary was celebrating a funeral. He was attacked and kidnapped by an armed gang of hooded men who put him in a car and drove off. The news of this kidnapping of a religious comes a few days after the release of Father Antoine Macaire Christian Noah, a Claretian missionary in Causel. Specifically, the area of Croix des Bouquets, a suburb of Port-au-Prince, is under the control of the armed group known as the 400 Mazu, who are experts in kidnappings. The government of Nicaragua closes the Vatican's embassy and suspends diplomatic relations. Vatican News reports that the Nicaraguan Foreign Ministry has declared that diplomatic relations between Nicaragua and the Holy See have been suspended. The Nicaraguan government has asked the Holy See to close their respective diplomatic missions. This is not a break in relations, as has been reported by media outlets. In 2018, the Church called for justice for more than 360 people who died during protests. The government also expelled the Missionaries of Charity of Saint Mother Teresa, and closed a Catholic-affiliated university. On March 12, 2022, the Apostolic Nuncio in Managua, Archbishop Valdemar Stanislaus Omertag, had been expelled from the country. The Holy See at the time reacted to the Nicaraguan government's decision with great surprise and regret. Such a measure seems incomprehensible, stressed a communiqué from the Holy See, because in the course of his mission Archbishop Omertag worked with profound dedication for the good of the Church and the Nicaraguan people, especially the most vulnerable, always seeking to foster good relations between the Apostolic See and the authorities of Nicaragua. In a recent interview with Infobi, Pope Francis, responding to a question about Nicaragua, compared the situation and Catholic Bishop Alvarez's 26-year imprisonment to the 17 communist dictatorship or that of Hitler in 35. The social and political situation in Nicaragua has worsened in recent years with the arrests, expulsions, and the violent repression of demonstrations. After being under house arrest since last August, Bishop Rolando Alvarez, the Bishop of Matagalpa, was arbitrarily sentenced to 26 years in prison. He has subsequently been jailed, and there has been no subsequent news about him. The Catholic bishops of the United Kingdom issued a statement condemning Clause 10, which restricts freedom of speech. Bishop John Sherrington, the lead bishop for life issues for the Catholic Bishops' Conference of England and Wales, has condemned Clause 10 of the new Public Order Bill, reiterating concerns it will lead to the curtailment of freedom of speech for people of faith. The gravity of the law's actions against freedom of speech was brought to light after a Catholic priest, Father Sean Goff, and Isabel von Spruce, were arrested for praying silently. The Alliance Defending Freedom, ADF, of the UK defended the two at court and won. However, since all charges were dropped, von Spruce was arrested again for praying silently. Bishop Sherrington explains that, after an overwhelming vote in the House of Commons last week, parliamentarians have moved to enact so-called safe access zones outside abortion facilities in England and Wales. Clause 10, soon to become law, criminalizes a range of activities within a 150-meter perimeter of an abortion facility. These could very easily include many things that should never be criminalized, such as prayer, thought, peaceful presence, consensual communication and practical support if they are deemed to influence or interfere with access to the clinic. Politicians went so far as to vote down an amendment which would have protected silent prayer and consensual communication in such spaces, and that would have initiated a review into whether such legislation was needed. Throughout this bill's passage through Parliament, the Catholic Bishops' Conference of England and Wales has reiterated its concern that this proposed legislation, despite any other intent, constitutes discrimination and disproportionately affects people of faith. We condemn all harassment and intimidation of women and hold that, as was accepted in a 2018 Home Office review, There are already laws and mechanisms in place to protect women from such behavior, and there is little, if any, evidence to suggest that vigil participants engage in these behaviors. Bishop Sherrington writes, "The bishops hold religious freedom to be essential for the flourishing and the realization of the dignity of every human person, and recognize it as the foundational freedom of any free and democratic society. Yet this new law potentially inhibits this, restricting freedom of thought, conscience and religion." 50,000 people joined in the ProLife March for Life in Madrid, Spain by Si a la Vida, with over 500 associations sponsoring. March is the month of life in the Spanish calendar. Si a la Vida group called on civil society to celebrate the International Day of Life, and organized a march in Madrid on Sunday, March 12, which was supported by more than 500 associations and civic entities. More than 400 young volunteers accompanied all the families. In Europe, there is pressure against the rights of the unborn. The EU Charter of Fundamental Rights is being endangered by ideologies which progress in the legislative sphere and in the courts in the face of scientific evidence, which affirms that denying that there is a new life in the womb of a pregnant woman from conception is irrational, as the Spanish bishops of the Episcopal Subcommission for the Family and Defense of Life of the Spanish Episcopal Conference have pointed out. The president of this subcommittee, Monsignor José Mazuelos, referring to the sentence that would be issued shortly in Spain, stated, "A court has been arranged to approve an unjust, ideological and contrary to science law." The Catholic General Assembly in Germany met in Frankfurt, Germany. They engaged in decisions regarding its synodal way. After days of meetings and votes on several issues, the Assembly voted in favor of blessings for same-sex unions, expressed the wish that women should be given access to ordained offices, and approved ways to include transgender people. Many bishops, including the Vatican, warned the German bishops and the synodal way that some of the issues that they are voting in favor for are contrary to church official teachings. Cardinal Rainer Wolke, of Germany, however, abstained from voting for the blessing during the synodal way, and is waiting for the opinion of the Holy See. In a recent interview, Cardinal Rainer Wolke, head of the Archdiocese of Köln, Germany, said that he assumes that the chairman of the German Bishops' Conference, Georg Batzing, will endeavor to clarify the issue in Rome and is waiting for the opinion of the Holy See. Cardinal Wolke spoke to the Kölnische Rundschau on Tuesday. The Pope's leading Vatican cardinal, Secretary of State, Pietro Parolin, said, on Monday evening, at a book launch in Rome, that the question of blessing ceremonies for same-sex couples could not be answered by a local church alone. Rather, what is needed is a dialogue at the level of the world church. As early as March 2021, the Vatican Faith Authority had announced in writing that the Catholic Church had no authority to bless marriages between persons of the same sex. It is not permissible to bless relationships or even stable partnerships that involve sexual practice outside of marriage.
Watch our programme every Friday at 7:30 p.m. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to Catholic News World channel. God bless.
Please subscribe to Catholic News World's YouTube channel. Thanks and God bless.